Bonjour, je m'appelle Madame Metzger et voilà, aujourd'hui on va réviser Reprise, chapitre 2, deuxième partie. D'abord, il y a des verbes qui ont les terminations IR, mais on conjugue ces verbes comme les verbes de ER. Donc, on laisse tomber le IR et on ajoute E, ES, E, ONS, EZ, ENT. Et nous avons une chanson, n'est-ce pas? E, ES, E, ES, E, ONS, ONS. EZ, 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 ENT, ENT. Hooray! Bon, we know that we do not pronounce S's and ENTs. Répétez. J'ouvre. I open, I am opening, I do open. J'ouvre. Tu ouvres. Il ouvre. Nous ouvrons. Vous ouvrez. Ils ouvrent. Excellent. What are some other verbs that are conjugated like this, that end in an IR but are conjugated like an ER verb? Répétez. We just did it. Ouvrir. Accueillir. Couvrir. Crier. Découvrir. Rouvrir. Remember, our R's are in the back of the throat. You should feel the air tickling your throat. Rouvrir. Découvrir. Lots of R's. Oui. Souffrir. Offrir. All right, bon. So the trick is to memorize that these verbs, while they end in IR, are conjugated like an ER verb. In order to help us remember that these IR verbs are together and that they're conjugated like ERs, my former students and I came up with a little story. So we put these verbs together and we made a little story. I discovered découvrir, an invitation to my friend's house. I opened it up, ouvrir, and I was happy. Later, I reopened, rouvrir. I reopened it and put the date on my calendar. I picked flowers, crier, on my way, and when she welcomed me in, accueillir, I offered the flowers, offrir. She sneezed and covered her mouth, couvrir. She suffers from allergies, souffrir, and had to throw them out. So if you try to remember this little story, it puts them all together, and then you remember them as a group. These are the IRs that are conjugated like an ER verb. Because our next group also end in IR, but they are not conjugated like ER verbs. Okay, so we have a left side, right side going on. Left side, right side means on the left, je, tu, in, il, elle, on, we have one way to conjugate these verbs. And on the right side, à droite, we have a different way, the nous, vous, and il, and elle pluriel of conjugating them. So with these IR verbs, we have to remember that à gauche, on the left, we have to take off the last consonant. So the last consonant of this example is the T. We take the T and the IR off before adding avant d'ajouter S, S, T. So we took off the T, IR, et on ajoute S, S, T. Répétez. Je pars. I leave, I am leaving, I do leave. Tu pars? Are you leaving? Il part. Very good. Now, à droite, whatever that last consonant is, whether it's a T for partir, an M for dormir, a V for servir, we put that consonant back on for the nous, vous, and il pluriel, and add what we call typical endings ONS, EZ, ENT. Répétez. Nous partons, vous partez, il part. Très bien. What are some verbs in this category, in this group? Well, we have partir, to leave. If we put an re in front of it, it means the same thing but again. So repartir is to leave again. Dormir, répétez, dormir. Mentir. Sentir. Se sentir. Servir. Sortir. All of these are conjugated with la gauche, the left side, taking off the last consonant, adding st. Right side, à droite, putting that last consonant back on and adding your ons, oz, ent. Our next verb is mettre. We've seen this already. And it's conjugated a lot like an re verb, even though it isn't a regular re verb. So mettre means to put, place, set, to put on. We learned it as to wear. And it starts off kind of like a regular re verb. The only difference is we have to also get rid of the extra t on the left. So this too is a left side, right side. So à gauche on the left, we have to take off that t, extra t, but we do add typical re endings, s, rien. On the right side, it is the infinitive with normal endings. So we have double T's like the infinitive over here and our typical endings ons, oz, ent. So it looks like a regular re verb except for only one T on the left. S, rien, ons, oz, ent. Or you can think of it as on the left side, one T, ss, nothing. On the right side, two T's, typical endings. Remember, an ET combo like buffet gives you an A sound, and we don't hear the S. Répétez, je mets, tu mets, il met, nous mettons, vous mettez, il met. Other verbs conjugated like this, where we take off the extra TRE on the left, SS, rien, battre. Répétez, battre. That RE ending, I pronounce it as sometimes people pronounce it as r. Either way is appropriate. It just depends on like where you live in France or what French-speaking country you live on as to how much you pronounce the RE or not. All right, répétez. Battre, combattre, débattre, omettre, permettre, promettre. Oh, move it over. It won't stay over. Let's move you down then. Voila. D'accord. So these are all conjugated the same way. Note that mettre has an E-T-T-R-E, but bat, combat, and débat has an A. So you would just have an A here instead of the E, but the pattern remains the same. Okay, bon. Next, we have two verbs that follow this pattern. Convaincre is to convince, and vaincre is to conquer. Répétez, convaincre, vaincre. Très bien. This too is a left side, right side. So on the left, again, it looks like a regular RE verb. So we take the RE off and we add SS, rien. Now on the right side, something different is happening. We're going to change that C to a QU and then add typical endings. So we're going to take off the CRE and put a QU in the C's place, and then add our typical endings ONS, OZ, ENT. Good. Répétez. Je convainc. Tu convainc. Il convainc. Nous convainquons. Vous convainquez. Il convainc. Très bien. This group is all verbs that have an A-I-N-D-R-E, E-I-N-D-R-E, O-I-N-D-R-E. So if you come across a verb that has those, this is how you conjugate it. Again, it's a left side, right side. So on the left, we're going to take off the D-R-E, 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 et on va ajouter S. Répétez. S, S, T. So this verb here is peindre. It's one of our EINDREs. It means to paint, as you can see in the picture. I paint, I am painting, I do paint. Répétez, je peins. Tu peins? Il peint. Excellent. Not too bad. Now, on the right side, we actually have to add in a letter in the stem, which is very different, and it's only for these verbs that this happens. So we're going to throw a G before the N. Before the N in these verbs, only on the right side. And then we're going to add our ONS, OZ, ENT. We still keep off the DRE, by the way. We're still keeping off the DRE on the right and on the left. And we're throwing a G in front of the N on the right side. So you put that G there before that N. It kind of changes the pronunciation a little bit. Répétez, nous peignons. Has a ng sound in there. Vous peignez. Il peigne. ENT is always stylant. What verbs are like this? Répétez. Craindre. Oh, I can't go down there. It hides them then. Craindre. Répétez. Atteindre. That means to reach, as in like a goal. Éteindre. Éteindre. To extinguish a candle, something like that, a fire. Joindre. Peindre. Oh, now I got to move this again. It's always in the way. Plaindre. Se plaindre. So sometimes by putting a se in front of the infinitive, it changes the meaning. Se means it's reflexive. It's a reflexive verb. So plaindre by itself, to pity. Se plaindre, to complain. Très bien. Our next group of verbs are like connaître. Now, connaître means to know, as in being familiar with people, places, or things. We have a different verb for knowing facts, information, how to do something. So we want to keep in mind that it's to know a person, to know a place, or to know a thing. All right, we're going to start with taking off the TRE for all of them, and we're going to add S, S, T. And notice that the circumflex is on the infinitive, and it's only on the ill plural or ill singular. I know, I do know, I am knowing, which sounds weird, but voila. Répétez, je connais. Tu connais? Il connaît. Bon. On the right side, we have to double an S before adding typical endings. So again, we take off the TRE and the accent for that matter. SST, put the accent only on the ill singular. Keep the TRE off, double an S on the right side. ONS, EZ, ENT. Répétez, nous connaissons. Vous connaissez. Ils connaissent. Verbs that are conjugated like this. Répétez, apparaître. Disparaître, paraître, reconnaître. Très bien. Construire means to construct, and it is different than this group. So the connaître, à, être verbs, you have to remember to take the TRE off on the left, SST, and double the S before the endings. The next group all end in UIRE, rire, rire, construire. And they only have one S on the right. So we're going to take off the RE and add S, S, T. And then we're going to have one S on the right side, typical endings. One S, ONS, easy, ENT. So the trick is remembering that the UIRE verbs only have one S on the right. Répétez, je construis. Tu construis. Il construit. Nous construisons. Vous construisez. Ils construisent. Bien. Verbs like this. Conduire. Détruire. Are you répéting? Introduire. Produire. Traduire. Excellent. The last verb is our only boot verb in this section. It is recevoir. Recevoir. And recevoir means to receive. Verbs conjugated like this are décevoir and apercevoir. Now, the infinitive recevoir has receive, and out of the boot is the infinitive and the nu and the vous. So notice they start with receive also, just like the infinitive, and they have your typical endings ons and ez. Inside the boot, you have to remember that the sev turns to a swa. See that? It has a sadi and a wa. A sadi and a wa, a sadi and a wa, and a sadi and a wa. So that is the pattern inside the boot. SST and an ENT, and just like the nu and the vous, it's got a V before that ENT. Répétez. Je reçois. I receive, I am receiving, I do receive. Répétez. Tu reçois. Il reçoit. Nous recevons. Vous recevez. Ils reçoivent. Très bien. I also want to go over with you the pronunciation of your questions and possible answers, but at least the beginnings of them. So let's do the speaking section. Répétez. What do you open? You don't have to répéter that. What do you open every day? Répétez. Qu'ouvres-tu tous les jours? Répétez. Qu'ouvres-tu tous les jours? J'ouvre. And whatever it is that you open. Next question. What time do you leave school normally? Répétez. À quelle heure pars-tu l'école d'habitude? À quelle heure pars-tu l'école d'habitude? To answer that, you say I leave at. Je pars à 2h30. 14h30, or whatever time you typically leave school. Très bien. You're doing great. Let's keep going. What do you promise to do? Que promets-tu de faire? Répétez. Que promets-tu de faire? Que promets-tu de faire? Excellent. To answer that, I promise to, and then an infinitive of whatever it is that you promise. Répétez. Je promets de. Je promets de. Excellent. Next question. What do you conquer? Répétez. Que vaincres-tu? Que vaincres-tu? I conquer. Je vaincre. And whatever it is that you conquer, whether it be your sporting matches, your homework, your fears, or everything. Je vaincre tout. Next question. What do you fear? Répétez. Que crains-tu? Que crains-tu? I fear. Je crains. And whatever it might be. If you fear heights, je crains les hauteurs. Snakes, les serpents. The dark, le noir. Clowns, les clowns. What clubs are you joining? Or what clubs do you join? You could say it either way. Répétez. Quel club joins-tu? Quel club joins-tu? Je joins le club de français, de pep, de art, de chorale. Très bien. Who do you know well in this class? Répétez. Qui connais-tu bien dans cette classe? Qui connais-tu bien dans cette classe? Je connais bien. Last question. What do you receive normally as gifts? Que reçois-tu comme cadeau d'habitude? Que reçois-tu comme cadeau d'habitude? I receive. Je reçois. Whatever that might be. L'argent, les vêtements, les livres. Bon. I hope this has helped you. Watch this as many times as you need to in order to get it down. Oh, where did it go? I hope I'm not taping anymore. I don't know.